Hello friends and welcome into NFL Daily. I am your host Tom Downey. The college football season, it's here. The NFL regular season, it's almost here as well. So let's break down a 2020 NFL mock draft. Now some rules before we get too far into this. Number one, the order is based on the Super Bowl odds. Therefore, do not blame me for where your favorite team is picking. In particular, Raiders fans out there. Now, look, team needs are not final. There's an entire year of player development still to go along. So, of course, everything can and is going to change here throughout the preseason and lead up towards the NFL draft. And I'll make note, yes, plenty of good players were left out. Feel free to mention them in the comments section. So at number one, based on the odds, the Miami Dolphins here. If they're picking number one, I think that you might see Josh Rosen get Josh Rosen again. I will give them Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama. Look, he is not a perfect prospect. Do not pretend that he is better than Andrew Luck or better than Trevor Lawrence. There is a notable injury history. But I feel like the hate for Tua has gone a little bit too far in the other direction. Yes, he needs to be better down the stretch, but he was hurt last year. And his deep ball is stupid accurate. Like, you don't produce those numbers by sucking. It's just not how it works. So I am a fan of Tua. I'm also a fan of my number two player here, at least in terms of the mock draft, Justin Herbert out of Oregon. That will be a debate that I think goes back and forth plenty throughout the pre-draft process and true draft season. But if the Bengals are drafting second, it's time to move on from Andy Dalton at that point. Now, Herbert might have better physical tools than Tua, but he has not used them as well as Tua. Now, the upside is there. The arm strength is there. We've seen the production at times at Oregon. Both of these players are great, but for now at least, I'm going to go with Tua as the better prospect for the NFL draft. So who is better? Type T for Tua or H for Justin Herbert. There are arguments to be made for both players and both prospects. I'm going to put in my T, though, in the comments section for Tua. Number three, then, the Arizona Cardinals. Let's give him Chase Young, a.k.a. the Predator. That is his nickname. I don't know if anyone else has given it to him. I'm sure they have. But he is the Predator. He is going to have a fantastic year for Ohio State. The Cardinals need a young edge rusher. They didn't take Bosa. They get Young instead, who, by the way, had more sacks in his sophomore year than Nick Bosa did. That feels at least worth mentioning. Chase Young, he is going to wreak havoc this year in Big Ten backfields. Number four, Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. The Redskins do not have a number one wide receiver. I'm sorry, Terry McLaurin. I'm sorry, Paul Richardson. And at least for now, Josh Doxson. Jeudy would be that number one guy. He's super fast on tape. He's a great route runner. He gets open. I'll mention this as a player comp. I'm not saying he's as good or will be as good, but in terms of play style, I think Jeudy plays a little bit like Odell Beckham and can play a similar type of role in the NFL. Even he's not going to be a top 5 receiver right away like maybe you could argue Beckham was. All right, guys, if you love the NFL draft, then go follow me and tweet your questions to me. I am on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. You see it there near the bottom-ish of your screen, at WhatGoingDowney. Any draft questions or draft hate, just throw it towards me on Twitter. Again, that is at WhatGoingDowney. I love chatting about the NFL draft. All right, number 5, the Giants. They need a right tackle. Tristan Wirfs takes care of that. Big athletic freak. He's mostly played right tackle for Iowa. Either way, he slots in for the Giants as a day one starter. All right, number 6. Let's get weird with it. I am a Jordan Love fan. My Twitter is a Jordan Love Stan account. I believe in Jordan Love. Yes, this is super aggressive. It absolutely is. But at pick number 6, give me Jordan Love for the Oakland Raiders. Here's the thing. If the Raiders are picking 6th, that means Derek Carr wasn't good. It's time to move on. Don't blame me for that, Raiders fans. Those are words from Mitchell Renz. I asked him if Oakland was picking 6, what did that mean? He said it's time to move on from Derek Carr. There are some NFL teams that are very high on Jordan Love. He is an under-the-radar player. Go watch him, though. Cut-ups available on YouTube. Just highlights if you just want to go that route. Still needs some work, some development. I am a big, big fan of Jordan Love. This is probably closer to his ceiling. Let's have some of this mock draft. That's the point of it. We're here to have some fun. So question for you guys, mostly you Oakland fans out there. Will Derek Carr be the Raiders quarterback in 2020? Type Y for yes and type N for no. Let me know in the comments section. I will not give my answer, but if they're picking 6th, then yeah, it's going to be time for a new quarterback. Although, frankly, I would be a bit surprised if the Raiders were back in that top 7 range in 2020. Number 7, A.J. EPENESA out of Iowa. There are some who think he's better than Chase Young. I like Young a little bit more, but he's a big guy who bends like he's not big. You don't often find those players. I think he is a surefire first-round pick, if not a top 10 selection. Number 8, Bryce Hall out of Virginia. He would have been my number 1 cornerback had he turned pro last year. I think he's coming back to UVA for one more year. He'll have another big year, and he'll again go in the first round. It's, by the way, a very deep group of cornerbacks this year. You could see Bryce Hall not be the first guy off the board. Maybe it's someone like my number 9 pick, Kristian Fulton out of LSU. Denver and Detroit both fill big needs with quality prospects. Heck, if Fulton had turned pro last year, he might have been taken before Greedy Williams. Just keep that in mind. Number 10, CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. A different type of player than Marquise Brown. A little bit bigger than Brown is, but he brings you number 1 receiver potential. Now, I've got Lamb behind Jerry Jeudy, but much like cornerback, it is a stacked class this year. At least it's shaping up to be a stacked class at wide receiver and at cornerback. I like what the Bills have done. Focus on investing with Josh Allen. He doesn't really have a number 1 wide receiver, though. Cole Beasley's a fine slot option there. Zay Jones can help you. John Brown can help you. But there's no real number 1. CeeDee Lamb, though, could absolutely be that guy. Number 11, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. I think he goes round 1. Bit of some room to grow, as many of these offensive linemen do. Jets got to protect Sam Darnold. I think Thomas can help you do that. All right, number 12, a player that did not make my way too early edition because I missed him. That's on me. Paulson Adebo out of Stanford. He, Fulton, Bryce Hall. We'll get to some other guys like Jeffrey Okudah and Trevon Diggs here in a second. All have at least a claim to being the best cornerback in this year's class. I think there's a bit of a top 3 grouping with Kristian and Paulson and Bryce Hall all in there. But for the Niners, Richard Sherman is aging. Keller Witherspoon doesn't appear to be that great. DJ Reed is a nickel. Take the local kid, slot him in as a future starter for San Francisco. Number 13, let's go back to the quarterback range here. That's Jake Fromm out of Georgia. I am not as sold on Jake Fromm as some are. Now, he definitely has an NFL future, and frankly, probably a long one. At minimum, as a great backup quarterback. He's very accurate for the most part, manages the game well. I need to see him do more, though. He hasn't truly taken over games in the same way Tua or Justin Herbert or even Jordan Love have. That's why he's 4th among quarterbacks for me. But the NFL is going to like his intelligence and his football smarts there. If he can do more this year, he'll rise up for Tennessee. Meanwhile, if they miss the playoffs, I think that's kind of it for Marcus Mariota. All right, number 14, Grant Delpit. Now, I don't want to cast any shade towards Delpit here because I love him. For me, right now, in the way too early version, he is a top 5 player for me. He is absolutely fantastic. If you are a believer in defense for Heisman, this is your guy. Look at the various production. Almost 75 tackles, almost 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 9 pass breakups. He does everything for you. The reason why he's only 14th, I had a tough time finding a spot for him. I thought about the 49ers, but the Jets, the Bills don't need a safety. Denver and Detroit have bigger needs at cornerback right now. The Bucs don't need a safety. Raiders don't. Giants kind of don't because they traded for Jabril Peppers. So he slides a little bit, but make no mistake, he is a fantastic player. And for the Colts, at 14, might be a little bit too low to get a new franchise quarterback, although they did slide quite a bit with their Super Bowl odds. So right now, and of course you can change your mind later, who is your favorite NFL draft prospect? Let me know in the comments section. You can tweet me as well at WhatGoingDowney. Grant Delpit might be my guy. I think he's going to be an instant impact safety. We saw Derwin James slide a little bit. Maybe it happens to Delpit. But much like Derwin James, Grant Delpit's going to be an instant impact safety, I believe, in the NFL. Speaking of favorite draft prospects, I love Isaiah Simmons. I love watching him play. He's like this safety linebacker, almost at times nickel corner hybrid. They play him out wide a little bit at times for Clemson, matching up against tight ends and backs. Freak athlete. The Jags got to replace Telvin Smith. He's going to go early because you don't find linebackers who cover like a safety or at least have the athletic ability of a safety. Simmons, and I'll make note right now of Dylan Moses, top two linebackers, but there is no Dylan Moses because he is out for the year with a torn ACL, so I left him off this 2020 mock draft. Number 16, Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State. Seattle, got to invest more at the cornerback spot. I like the upside of Okudah, who definitely needs to develop and show more, although if I know one thing, we've seen Ohio State defensive backs do that pretty consistently over the past couple of years. Number 17, let's get Houston a true feature back. No disrespect to Duke Johnson. Maybe he'll impress with Lamar Miller out. I love Travis Etienne. He's got the juice. He can fly. The production's pretty insane. I do want to see him used more in the passing game, but I think because of his play style, even though there's not going to be a ton of production, that still checks out. Etienne can fly in what is shaping up to be as well, folks, a really good running back draft class. Number 18, the Baltimore Ravens, Tyler Biadasz, or as I just pronounce it, Tyler Badass. It's a weird name to read and say, but he's a great player. He is the next great Wisconsin offensive lineman, can play guard, can play center. Baltimore gets an upgrade on the interior, which they need because they're going to run the ball a lot with Lamar Jackson. Sleeper alert at number 19. I continue to put him in my round one. Khalil CHAISSON out of LSU. Devin White hyped him up. He was hurt all of last year, so this is definitely an example of some big-time projection in this mock draft. But CHAISSON has the raw ability to really impress and skyrocket up draft boards. Number 20 out of TCU, the wide receiver, Jalen Reagor. Let's get him some more speed for Carolina. That's what Jalen brings to you. Upside on the outside, can play some slot on the inside. All of a sudden, you've got DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Jalen. That's a really good trio at receiver. Helps make up for some potentially iffy tight end play long-term for Carolina. Number 21, Walker Little of Stanford. He is a first-team All-American. I think he needs some more development. It's a little bit on the hype side, but that's how the AP, people are. Oh, 5-star recruit, major program, first-team All-American. Looking at you, Mitch Hyatt. Number 22, Trevon Diggs, who definitely fits what the Dallas Cowboys like at cornerback. Now, when I asked if I should do a mock draft, someone said give the Cowboys a corner or tight end. I thought about receiver, thought about Jared Pinkney out of Vanderbilt, but the Cowboys, I think, legitimately could lose both of Byron Jones and or Anthony Brown. In that scenario, Diggs fits that mold so well. You can bring him in 5 years. All of a sudden, next year, Diggs, Cheeto, and Jordan Lewis, and you figure out Donovan Olumba, Michael Jackson. I think it makes some sense there. But for the Cowboys, let's go with a great player at a position of need. Number 23, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get Julian OKWARA. Yes, that is Romeo's younger brother. Look, Bud Dupree ain't it. They need a second pass rusher. OKWARA steps in and fits that mold. Having some fun with number 24 for the Green Bay Packers, Laviska Shenault. I think injuries could push him down a little bit. And just so too could the entire great wide receiver class. But Shenault is probably going to be a top 20 player if he stays healthy for me, if not top 15. Freak athlete, literally is the Colorado offense. I love Shenault. I think he'd be a great fit with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams there. All right, guys, do you want more NFL draft coverage? Subscribe to Chat Sports, then vote with your views. We will keep you covered throughout the regular season, and of course, once you get into draft season as well. So that link is below. Make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. All right, number 25, Derek Brown out of Auburn. He could go way earlier than this, but I'll be honest with you guys, the receivers and defensive linemen, they just happen to fall in this mock draft. Don't read too much into 25 versus 20. Derek Brown's a great player. Number 26, Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. I am running the risk of having too many Alabama players, but remember here, folks, left tackle for Alabama tends to be drafted pretty early. And Leatherwood, who we've seen play guard and tackle, can fit that mold as a potential Greg Robinson replacement for Cleveland. Number 27, the Oakland Raiders. This is, by the way, via the Chicago Bears from their previous trade here. YETUR GROSS-MATOS. Some have said GROSS-MATOS. I'm pretty sure it's GROSS-MATOS, though. Look, if you are the Oakland Raiders, you got to keep investing in your defensive line. Like, you have to keep investing and finding players to impact you. You have one in Cleveland Ferrell. That can't be all you do, though. I think GROSS-MATOS, who does bring you a lot of great athleticism, fits that mold very well. All right, number 28. This one's scary for opposing offenses. Raekwon Davis, who Didn't produce as well as expected last year, but remains a freak athlete with some great upside here out of Alabama. I am excited for him. Michael Brockwards in the last year of his deal. There's your instant replacement. Thought about cornerbacks too, but I didn't love the group being left. C.J. Henderson has to tackle better to actually go in round 1. All right, the Eagles at number 29. Let's give them one of the last good safeties here in terms of first-round prospects for now. Xavier McKinney, he can be your long-term free safety. I like the fit in Philadelphia, and Bama produces great players. We know that. Get a little aggressive here again at number 30. Jacob Eason out of Washington to the New England Patriots. Is Jarrett Stidham the answer? Maybe, but maybe not. Let's have some fun with this then. Eason has the talent. We know that. We saw it in flashes at Georgia, but he hasn't really played since 2016. So he is a massive wild card this year. If he plays great, he's going to go round 1. Or maybe he goes back for another year. That's a big, big question mark for me, but the upside makes it a worthwhile consideration late in round 1. Number 31, Tylan Wallace. Look, take your pick of like T. Higgins, of Colin Johnson, of any number of other receivers. I went with Tylan Wallace to give the Saints some more speed, but there are a lot of great receivers that are going to go in that first, second round range. There is some great value to be had this year, this upcoming year, for the NFL draft. And then finally, number 32 overall, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift. I like Jonathan Taylor a lot too, but I went with Swift because I think he fits the Chiefs' offense a little bit more. Granted, if you're picking 32, it probably means Damian Williams fared pretty well for you. Let's get them another impact weapon on offense. But folks, that is my mock draft. Let me know in the comment section what you like and didn't like, and I'll be sure to respond to you in there.